Selection from Poems by Pushkin. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Poems by Alexander Sergeyevich Pushkin, translated by Ivan Panin. My Pedigree. With scorning laughter at a fellow writer, in a chorus the Russian scribes, with name of aristocrat, me chide. Just look, if please you, nonsense, what? Court coachman not I, nor assessor, nor am I nobleman by cross, no academician nor professor, I'm simply of Russia a citizen. Well I know the time's corruption, and surely not gainsay it shall I. Our nobility but recent is, the more recent it, the more noble 'tis. But of humbled races a chip, and God be thanked, not alone, of ancient lords am scion I. Citizen I am, a citizen. Not in cakes my grandsire traded, not a prince was newly baked he, nor at church sang he in choir, nor polished he the boots of Tsar. Was not escaped a soldier he from the German powdered ranks. How then aristocrat am I to be? God be thanked, I am but a citizen. My grandsire Radsha in warlike service to Alexander Nevsky was attached. The crowned wrathful fourth Ivan his descendants in his ire had spared. About the Tsars the Pushkins moved, and more than one acquired renown when against the Poles battling was of Nizhny Novgorod the citizen plain. When treason conquered was, and falsehood, and the rage of storm of war, when the Romanovs upon the throne, the nation called by its chart, we upon it laid our hands, the martyr's son then favoured us. Time was our race was prized, but I am but a citizen obscure. Our stubborn spirit us tricks has played, most irrepressible of his race, with Peter my sire could not get on, and for this was hung by him. Let his example a lesson be, not contradiction loves a ruler, not all can be Prince Dolgoruki's. Happy only is the simple citizen. My grandfather, when the rebels rose in the palace of Peterhof, like Munich faithful he remained to the fallen Peter III. To honour came then the Orloff, but my sire into fortress prison. Quiet now was our stern race, and I was born merely citizen. Beneath my crested seal the roll of family charts I've kept, not running after magnates new, my pride of blood I have subdued. I'm but an unknown singer, simply Pushkin, not Muse. My strength is mine, not from court. I am a writer, a citizen. End of poem, read by Alan Mapstone. My Monument by Alexander Pushkin. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. A monument not handmade I have for me erected. The path to it well trodden will not overgrow. Risen higher has it with unbending head than the monument of Alexander. No, not all of me shall die, my soul in hallowed lyre shall my dust survive and escape destruction, and famous be I shall, as long as on earth sublunar one bard at least living shall remain. My name will travel over the whole of Russia great, and there pronounce my name shall every living tongue. The Slav's proud scion, and the Finn, and the savage yet Tungus, and the Kalmuk, lover of the steppe. And long to the nation I shall be dear, for rousing with my lyre its noble feelings, for extolling freedom in a cruel age, for calling mercy upon the fallen. The bidding of God, O Muse, obey. Fear not insult, ask not crown. Praise and blame take with indifference, and dispute not with the fool. End of poem. My Muse by Alexander Pushkin. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. In the days of my youth she was fond of me, and the seven-stemmed flute she handed me. To me with smile she listened, and already gently along the openings echoing of the woods was playing I with fingers tender. Both hymns solemn, God-inspired, and peaceful song of Phrygian shepherd. From morn till night in oak's dumb shadow, to the strange maid's teaching intent I listened, and with sparing reward me gladdening, tossing back her curls from her forehead dear, from my hands the flute herself she took. Now filled the wood was with breath divine, and the heart with holy enchantment filled. End of poem. My Demon by Alexander Pushkin. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. In those days when new to me were of existence all impressions, the maiden's glances, the forest whisper, the song of nightingale at night, when the sentiments elevated of freedom, glory, and of love, and of art the inspiration, stirred deeply so my blood. My hopeful hours and joyful, with melancholy sudden darkening, a certain evil spirit then began in secret me to visit. Grievous were our meetings, his smile and his wonderful glance, his speeches, these so stinging, cold poison poured into my soul. Providence with slander inexhaustible he tempted. Of beauty as a dream he spake, and inspiration he despised. Nor love nor freedom trusted he, on life with scorn he looked, and naught in all nature to bless he ever wished. End of poem. The Prophet by Alexander Pushkin. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Tormented by the thirst for the spirit, I was dragging myself in a sombre desert, and a six-winged seraph appeared unto me on the parting of the roads. With fingers as light as a dream, mine eyes he touched, and mine eyes opened wise, like the eyes of a frightened eagle. He touched mine ears, and they filled with din and ringing. And I heard the trembling of the heavens, and the flight of the angels' wings, and the creeping of the polyps in the sea, and the growth of the vine in the valley. And he took hold of my lips, and out he tore my sinful tongue with its empty and false speech. And the fang of the wise serpent between my terrified lips he placed with bloody hand. And ope he cut with sword my breast, and out he took my trembling heart, and a coal with flaming blaze into the open breast he shoved. Like a corpse I lay in the desert. And the voice of God unto me called, Arise, O prophet, and listen, and guide. Be thou filled with my will, and going over land and sea, fire with the word the hearts of men. End of poem. The Outcast by Alexander Pushkin. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. On a rainy autumn evening, into desert places went a maid, and the secret fruit of unhappy love in her trembling hands she held. All was still. The hills and the woods asleep in the darkness of the night, and her searching glances in terror about she cast. And on this babe, the innocent, her glance she paused with a sigh. Asleep thou art, my child, my grief. Thou knowest not my sadness. Thine eyes will ope, and though with longing to my breast shalt no more cling, no kiss for thee tomorrow from thine unhappy mother. Beckon in vain for her thou wilt, my everlasting shame, my guilt. Me forget thou shalt for aye, but thee forget shall not I. Shelter thou shalt receive from strangers, who'll say thou art none of ours. Thou wilt ask, where are my parents? But for thee no kin is found. Hapless one, with heart filled with sorrow, lonely amid thy mates, thy spirit sullen to the end, thou shalt behold fondling mothers. A lonely wanderer everywhere, cursing thy fate at all times, thou the bitter reproach shalt hear. Forgive me, oh, forgive me then. Asleep, let me then, O hapless one, to my bosom press thee once for all. A law unjust and terrible thee and me to sorrow dooms. While the years have not yet chased the guiltless joy of thy days, sleep, my darling. Let no griefs bitter mar thy childhood's quiet life. But lo, behind the woods near by, the moon brings a hut to light. Forlorn, pale, and trembling, to the doors nigh she came. She stooped, and gently laid she down the babe on the threshold strange. In terror away her eyes she turned, and in the dark night disappeared. End of poem. The Black Shawl by Alexander Pushkin. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. I gaze demented on the black shawl, and my cold soul is torn by grief. When young I was and full of trust, I passionately loved a young Greek girl. The charming maid, she fondled me, but soon I lived the black day to see. Once as were gathered my jolly guests, a detested Jew knocked at my door. Thou art feasting, he whispered, with friends, but betrayed thou art by thy Greek maid. Moneys I gave him, and curses, and called my servant the Faithful. We went, I flew on the wings of my steed, and tender mercy was silent in me. Her threshold no sooner I espied, dark grew my eyes, and my strength departed. The distant chamber I enter alone. An Armenian embraces my faithless maid. Darkness around me flashed the dagger. To interrupt his kiss the wretch had no time. And long I trampled the headless corpse, and silent and pale at the maid I stared. I remember her prayers, her flowing blood, but perished the girl, and with her my love. The shawl I took from the head now dead, and wiped in silence the bleeding steel. When came the darkness of eve, my surf threw their bodies into the Danube's billows. Since then I kiss no charming eyes, since then I know no cheerful days. I gaze demented on the black shawl, and my cold soul is torn by grief. End of poem. The Roussalka by Alexander Pushkin. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. By a lake once in forest darkness, a monk his soul was saving, ever in stern occupation of prayer, fast, and labour. Already with slackened shovel, the aged man his grave was digging, and only for death in peace and quiet to his saintly patrons prayed he. Once in summer at the threshold of his drooping little hut, to God was praying the hermit. Darker grew the forest. Over the lake was rising fog, and in the clouds the reddish moon was gently rolling along the sky. Upon the waters the hermit gazed. He looks and fears and knows not why, himself he cannot understand. Now he sees the waves are seething, and suddenly again are quiet. Suddenly, as light as shade of night, as white as early snow of hills, out cometh a woman naked, and on the shore herself she seats. Upon the aged monk she gazes, and she combs her moistened tresses. The holy monk with terror trembles, upon her charms still he gazes. With her hand to him she beckons, and her head she's quickly nodding, and suddenly like a falling star, the dreamy wave she vanished under. The sober monk all night he slept not, and all day he prayed not, the shadow unwittingly before him of the wondrous maid he ever sees. Again the forest is clad in darkness, along the clouds the moon is sailing. Again the maid above the water, pale and splendent, there she sits. Gaze her eyes, nods her head, throws kisses, and she's sporting, the waves she sprinkles, and she frolics, childlike weeping now and laughing. Sobbing tender, the monk she calls, "Monk, O monk, to me, to me!" Into the waves transparent she dashes, and again is all in silence deep. But on the third day the roused hermit the enchanted shores nigh sitting was, and the beautiful maid he awaited. Upon the trees were falling shades. Night at last by dawn was chased, and nowhere monk could be found, his beard alone, the grey one, in the water the boys could see. End of poem. The Cossak by Alexander Pushkin. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Once at midnight hour, darkness through and fog, quiet by the river, rode a Cossack brave. Black his cap upon his ear, dust covered is his coat. By his knee the pistols hang, and nigh the ground his sword. The faithful steed, rein not feeling, is walking slowly on, long its mane is, and is waving, even further it keeps on. Now before him 2-3 huts, broken is the fence, to the village here the road, to the forest there. Not in forest maid is found, Dennis thinks the brave. To their chambers went the maids, are gone for the night. The son of Don he pulls the rein, and the spur he strikes. Like an arrow rushed the steed, to the huts he turned. In the clouds the distant sky was silvering the moon. A beauty maid in melancholy by the window sits. Espies the brave the beauty maid, beats his heart within. Gently steed to left, under the window now is he. Darker growing is the night, and hidden is the moon. Quick, my darling, do come out, water give my steed. No, not unto a man so young, right fearful is to go. Fearful is my house to leave, and water give thy steed. Have no fear, O beauty maid, and friendship close with me. Brings danger night to beauty maids, fear me not, O joy of mine. Trust me, dear, thy fear is vain, away with terror groundless. Time thou losest precious, fear not, O my darling. Mount my steed, with thee I will to distant regions gallop. Blessed with me be thou shalt, heaven with mate is everywhere. And the maid, over she bends, her fear is overcome. Bashfully to ride consents, and the Cossack happy is. Off they dart, away they fly, are loving one another. Faithful he for 2 brief weeks, forsook her on the 3rd. End of poem. The Drowned by Alexander Pushkin. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Into the hut the children run. In haste they called their father. Papa, Papa, oh, our nets out a corpse have dragged. Ye lie, ye little devils. Upon them father grumbled. I declare those wicked brats corpse now to have they must. Down will come the court, give answer, and for an age no rest from it. But what to do? Height, wife there, my coat give me, must get there somehow. Now where's the corpse? Here, Papa, here. And in truth along the river, where is spread the moistened net, upon the sand is seen the corpse. Disfigured terribly the corpse is blue and all is swollen. Is it a hapless sorrower, who ruined has his sinful soul, or by the waves a fisher taken, or some fellow drunkard, or by robbers stripped perchance, trader some, unbusiness-like? To the peasant what is this? About he looks and hastens, seizes he the body drowned, by the feet to water drags it, and from the shore the winding, off he pushes it with oar, downward gain floats the corpse, and grave and cross still is seeking. And long the dead among the waves, as if living, swinging, floated. With his eyes the peasant him, homeward going, followed. Ye little dogs, now follow me, each of you a cake shall have. But look ye out, and hold your tongues, else a thrashing shall ye have. At night the wind to blow began, full of waves became the river. Out the light was already going in the peasant's smoky hut. The children sleep, the mother slumbers. On the oven husband lies, howls the storm, a sudden knocking he hears of someone at the window. Who's there? Ope the door, I say. Time enow. What is the matter? Wherefore comes tramp at night? By the devil art hither brought. Wherefore with you should I bother? Crowded my house and dark is. So saying, he with lazy hand open throws the window. Rolls the moon from behind the clouds, and now a naked man before him stands. From his beard a stream is flowing, his glance is fixed and is open. All about him is frightful dumbness, and his hands are dropped down, and to the puffed out swollen body black crabs are fastened. The peasant quickly shuts the window. He recognized his naked guest, is terror-struck. May you burst, out he whispered and trembled. In great confusion now his thoughts are, and all night he shakes in fever, and till the morrow still the knocking is heard on the window and at the gates. Report there was among the people, saying since then every year, waiting is the hapless peasant for his guest on the appointed day. In the morning the weather changes, and at night the storm arrives, and the dead man is ever knocking by the window and at the gates. End of poem. The North Wind by Alexander Pushkin. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Why, O wrathful north wind, thou the marshy shrub dost downward bend? Why thus in the distant sky vault wrathfully the cloud dost chase? The black clouds but recently had spread the whole heavens o'er. The oak on hilltop but recently in beauty wondrous itself was priding. Thou hast risen and up hast played, with terror resounded and with splendour, and away are driven the stormy clouds, down is hurled the mighty oak. Let now then the sun's clear face with joy henceforth ever shine, with the clouds now the zephyr play, and the bush in quiet sway. End of poem. Winter Morning by Alexander Pushkin. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Frost and sun, the day is wondrous. Thou still art slumbering, charming friend. 'Tis time, O beauty, to awaken. Ope thine eyes, now in sweetness closed, to meet the northern dawn of morning. Thyself a north star do thou appear. Last night, remember, the storm scolded, and darkness floated in the clouded sky. Like a yellow clouded spot, through the clouds the moon was gleaming, and melancholy thou wert sitting, but now through the window cast a look. Stretched beneath the heavens blue, carpet-like magnificent, in the sun the snow is sparkling. Dark alone is the wood transparent, and through the hoar gleams green the fir, and under the ice the rivulet sparkles. Entire is lighted with diamond splendour thy chamber, with merry crackle the wood is crackling in the oven. To meditation invites the sofa. But know you, in the sleigh not order why the brownish mare to harness. Over the morning snow we gliding, trust we shall, my friend, ourselves, to the speed of impatient steed. Visit we shall the fields forsaken, the woods, dense but recently, and the banks so dear to me. End of poem. Winter Evening by Alexander Pushkin. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. The storm the sky with darkness covers, the snowy whirlings twisting, like a beast wild now is howling, like an infant now is crying. Over the aged roof now sudden, in the straw it rustling is, like a traveller now belated, for entrance at our window knocking. With melancholy and with darkness, our little aged hut is filled. Why in silence then thou sittest by the window, wife old mine? Or by the howling storms art wearied thou, O companion mine? Or perchance art slumbering, by the rustling spindle soothed? Let us drink, O kindly friend of my poverty and youth. Away with grief! Where is the cup? Joy it shall bring to our heart. A song now sing me, how the bird beyond the sea in quiet lived. A song now sing me, how the maiden in the morning for water went. The storm the sky with darkness covers, the snowy whirlings twisting, like a beast wild now is howling, like an infant now is crying. Let us drink, O kindly friend of my poverty and youth, away with grief. Where is the cup? Joy it shall bring to our heart. End of poem. The Winter Road by Alexander Pushkin. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Breaking through the waving fogs, forth the moon is coming, and on the gloomy acres she gloomy light is shedding. Along the wintry cheerless road flies the rapid troika, the little bell monotonous wearily is tinkling. A certain homefulness is heard in the driver's lengthy lays, now light-hearted carelessness, now low-spirited sadness. Neither light nor a dark hut, only snow and silence. Striped mileposts are alone the travellers who meet us. Sad I feel and weary. On the morrow, Nina, to my beloved I returning, forget myself shall by the fire, and scarcely know at her shall gaze. Loudly of my watch the spring its measured circle is completing, and us, the parter of the wearied, midnight not shall separate. Sad I'm, Nina, my journey's weary. Slumbering now, my driver is quiet, the little bell is monotonous, and darkened now is the moon's face. End of poem. The Storm-Maid by Alexander Pushkin. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Hast thou seen on the rock the maid, in robe of white above the waves, when seething in the storm dark, played the sea with its shores? When the glare of lightning hourly with rosy glimmer her lighted up, and the wind beating and flapping struggled with her flying robe. Beautiful's the sea in the storm dark, Glorious is the sky, even without its blue. But trust me, on the rock the maid excels both wave and sky and storm. End of poem. The Bard by Alexander Pushkin. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Have ye heard in the woods the nightly voice of the bard of love, of the bard of his grief? When the fields in the morning hour were still, the flute's sad sound and simple, have ye heard? Have ye met in the desert darkness of the forest the bard of love, the bard of his grief? Was it a track of tears, was it a smile, or a quiet glance filled with melancholy? Have ye met? Have ye sighed, listening to the calm voice of the bard of love, of the bard of grief? When in the woods the youth ye saw, and met the glance of his dulled eyes, have ye sighed? End of poem. Spanish Love Song by Alexander Pushkin. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Evening zephyr waves the ether, murmurs, rushes the Guadalquivir. Now the golden moon has risen, quiet, shew, guitars now heard. Now the Spanish girl young o'er the balcony has leaned. Evening zephyr waves the ether, murmurs, rushes the Guadalquivir. Drop thy mantle, angel gentle, and appear as fair as day. Through the iron balustrade put thy wondrous, tender foot. Evening zephyr waves the ether, murmurs, rushes the Guadalquivir. End of poem. Invocation by Alexander Pushkin. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Oh, if true it is that by night, when resting are the living, and from the sky the rays of moon along the stones of churchyard glide, oh, if true it is that emptied then are the quiet graves, I call thy shade, I wait my Leela. Come hither, my friend, to me. Up here, O shade of my beloved, as thou before our parting wert. Pale, cold, like a wintry day, disfigured by thy struggle of death, come like unto a distant star, or like a fearful apparition, 'tis all the same. Come hither, and I call thee, not in order to reproach him whose wickedness my friend hath slain, nor to fathom the grave's mysteries, nor because at times I'm worn with gnawing doubt, but I sadly wish to say that still I love thee, that wholly thine I am. Hither come, O hither. End of poem. The Poet by Alexander Pushkin. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Ere the poet summoned is to Apollo's holy sacrifice, in the world's empty cares, engrossed is half-hearted he. His holy lyre silent is, and cold sleep his soul locks in. And of the world's puny children, of all puniest perhaps is he. Yet no sooner the heavenly word his keen ear hath reached, than up trembles the singer's soul, like unto an awakened eagle. The world's pastimes him now weary, and mortals' gossip now he shuns. To the feet of popular idol his lofty head bends not he. Wild and stern rushes he, of tumult full and sound, to the shores of desert wave, into the widely whispering wood. End of poem. To the Poet by Alexander Pushkin. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Poet, not popular applause shalt thou prize, of raptured praise shall pass the momentary noise. The fool's judgment hear thou shalt, and the kobold's laughter. Calm stand, and be firm and sober. Thou art king, live alone. On the free road walk, whither draws thee thy spirit free. Ever the fruits of beloved thoughts ripening, never reward for noble deeds demanding. In thyself reward seek, thine own highest court thou art. Severest judge, thine own works canst measure. Art thou content, O fastidious craftsman? Content? Then let the mob scold, and spit upon the altar where blazes thy fire. Thy tripod in childlike playfulness let it shake. End of poem. Insanity by Alexander Pushkin. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. God grant I grow not insane. No, better the stick and beggar's bag. No, better toil and hunger bear. Not that I upon my reason such value place, not that I would fain not lose it. If freedom to me they would leave, how I would lasciviously for the gloomy forest rush. In hot delirium I would sing, and unconscious would remain, with ravings wondrous and chaotic. And listen would I to the waves, and gaze I would full of bliss into the empty heavens. And free and strong then would I be, like a storm the fields up-digging, forest trees uprooting. But here's the trouble. If crazy once, affright thou art like pestilence, and locked up now shalt thou be. To a chain thee fool they'll fasten, and through the gates a circus beast thee to nettle the people come. And at night not here shall I clear the voice of nightingale, nor the forest's hollow sound, but cries alone of companions mine, and the scolding guards of night, and a whizzing of chains a-ringing. End of poem. Death Thoughts by Alexander Pushkin. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Whether I roam along the noisy streets, whether I enter the peopled temple, whether I sit by thoughtless youth, haunt my thoughts me everywhere. I say, swiftly go the years by, however great our number now, must all descend the eternal vaults. Already struck has someone's hour. And if I gaze upon the lonely oak, I think the patriarch of the woods will survive my passing age as he survived my father's age. And if a tender babe I fondle, already I mutter, fare thee well. I yield my place to thee, for me 'tis time to decay, to bloom for thee. Every year thus, every day, with death my thought I join, of coming death the day I seek among them to divine. Where will fortune send me death? In battle, in wanderings, or on the waves? Or shall the valley neighbouring receive my chilled dust? But though the unfeeling body can everywhere alike decay, still I, my birthland nigh, would have my body lie. Let near the entrance to my grave cheerful youth be in play engaged, and let indifferent creation with beauty shine there eternally. End of poem. Rights by Alexander Pushkin. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Not dear I prize high-sounding rights, by which is turned more head than one. Not murmur I that not granted the gods to me the blessed lot of discussing fates, of hindering kings from fighting one another. And little care I whether free the press is. All this you see are words, words, words. Other better rights dear to me are. Other better freedom is my need. To depend on rulers or the mob is not all the same it. God be with them. To give account to none, to thyself alone, to serve and please, for power, for a livery, nor soul nor mind, nor neck to bend. Now here, now there, to roam in freedom, nature's beauties divine admiring, and before creations of art and inspiration, melt silently in tender ecstasy. This is bliss, these are rights. End of poem. The Delibash by Alexander Pushkin. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. cross-firing behind the hills. Both camps watch theirs and ours. In front of Cossacks on the hill dashes long brave Delibash. O Delibash, not to the line come nigh. Do have mercy on thy life. Quick 'tis over with thy frolic bold. Pierced thou by the spear shalt be. Hey, Cossack, not to battle rush. The Delibash is swift as wind. Cut he will with crooked sabre from thy shoulders thy fearless head. They rush with yell are hand to hand, and behold now what each befalls. Already speared the Delibash is, already headless the Cossack is. End of poem. Read by Alan Mapstone in Oxford, England. End of selection from poems by Alexander Pushkin, translated by Ivan Panin.